So I've just typed in insane plot twist thing, cause I'm wanting something that's gonna shock me. I've seen that film. See, to be honest, I don't really know. I watched that not too long ago. Where is it? Shutter Island. There we go. Notice the detail. I watched this not too long ago. Um, and actually, I think I changed my mind. Okay, let's play it. I changed my mind between what I thought the ending was. Okay. I can't remember if he's a fucking loony or if he's a real policeman. That was it, and I think I took each side. Let's see what this guy thinks.
Shutter Island is a film built to end in a twist that no one is supposed to see coming. And that is that the film's protagonist, Teddy Daniels, is actually Andrew Laeddis, a mental patient at Ashcliffe who is the centerpiece of an elaborate scheme to renew his mental health.
So we weren't supposed to think that was true. I thought that was pretty obvious quite early on, I think.
When many people look back on the film, the most important thing they pull out is usually the symbolism found in fire and water. Fire represents the fantasy that Andrew has created around himself. This is why his hallucinations are always accompanied by fire in some way.
I never noticed that. That's really cool, actually. Fire more. I did notice them running into the water, because they say that, like, if you go underwater, it's like that's like symbolic of the subconscious layer. Like, going underneath is like going into your, or like water's that sort of thing.
And water represents the reality of what happened to his wife and children. This is why he has a consistent aversion to water for the
I guess like his wife's shit would be in his subconscious, because he doesn't think that he's Andrew Laeddis. He thinks he's a policeman. Yeah.
entire film.
So then fire means reality, maybe. Huh, interesting.
These symbols are definitely important
Fiery fantasies.
to understanding the story, but I don't just want to show that these symbols inform the film, but how these symbols are cinematically portrayed and other subtle ways the film tells us what we need to know. This film tells us over and over that Teddy is in a fantasy world. The movie consistently jabs at what we believe to be true, but we ignore most of this information as we watch the film.
Let me put that back. I'd never noticed these cuffs on this man before. He does not look happy.
This information as we watch the film. Martin Scorsese uses subtle story
That's cuffs again. Look at her face though. Would you?
hints, cinematography, and acting to inform the audience of the film's true reality. The only freeze frame we get in the entire movie is in the first scene, and it's of Teddy and his wife. Because this is a freeze frame, that puts extreme importance on this moment. Scorsese uses freeze frames consistently throughout his films, Raging
I never knew that.
Bull, Goodfellas, The Casino, and many others. In Goodfellas, each freeze frame is used to show a very important moment in the main character's life. This is the same in Shutter Island. This single frame tells us all about the point of this movie, and that is the relationship between
I guess having like a still image and then a small pan or crop through that image does, like, now that I think about it, in films it makes it seem like it's not in this time, it's like in the past. It's like something being viewed because it's a still image, it's crystallized. It does give that impression, although I never thought about it until now. That's really cool.
these two people and the effect it had on the main character. Also notice a few moments later that Chuck is unable to holster his gun and ends up giving the guards the gun and holster. This one
I noticed that. I wonder why.
detail should immediately tell us that Chuck isn't a real marshal and
Yeah.
does not have much experience with guns, but it largely goes by unnoticed. Also notice that when Teddy and Chuck go down to the cliffs, we see the guards sitting around. None of the guards are actually searching for Rachel Solando, because they know Rachel doesn't exist and therefore they have no real motivation to
I never noticed that. I thought they'd just given up.
search well. One of the most interesting and telling scenes of the film is when Teddy and Chuck interview patients about the disappearance of Rachel Solando. As they interview the old woman, notice the background in each shot. There is a guard in Teddy's shot and a guard in the old woman's shot, but not in Chuck's shot. The implication is that the guards are watching over the two patients, the old woman and Teddy.
Interesting.
Since Chuck is actually a doctor at the facility, there is no reason that the guards should watch him. This is an intentional directorial decision that gives us a subtle hint that Teddy is actually a patient.
That's cool. That's like every single image is being played against the other ones in this sequence. One of these is not like the other. That's cool.
One of the things that many people note about this scene is the woman's glass of water. Chuck hands her a glass, but when she lifts it to her lips, nothing is in her hand.
What?
Many people thought that this was an editing mistake, or
What?
it's just that the woman is crazy, but it's not either. This shot is from Teddy's point of view. Teddy has an extreme aversion to water since the water represents the reality he is trying to forget, so he mentally blocks out the water, which is why we do not see the glass.
That is such a stretch for them to put that in there. I know they did. If this is true, then it's still... No one's gonna get that, and except afterwards. That's cool that you can look back, but... God damn, that is not a first viewing type thing you pick up on and think, well, that's Teddy's aversion to water. Excuse me.
Until we go to an over-the-shoulder outside Teddy's point of view as she sets the glass back down. The old woman's acting also adds to the scene. When Teddy asks her about Dr. Sheehan, she glances over at Chuck because she knows he is Dr. Sheehan.
He's, okay, nice,
When Teddy asks about Andrew Latis, it flusters her even more because she knows that Teddy is Latis, but has been told not to tell him the truth.
Did you ever meet a patient named Andrew Latis?
I gotta say, I thought the twist... this is a hard scene because, like, her glancing back and forwards, casting doubt on whether or not he is a mental patient or the police officer. Because in my mind at this point in the film, I wasn't sure which was which. Maybe this was on second viewing. It's such a confusing film.
no. Never heard of it.
Another important note is that the old woman writes down "run" in Teddy's notebook, not because Ashcliffe is doing experiments on patients, but because she knows that this would be Teddy's only chance to escape the mental hospital. This scene only has one small moment involving the film's use of symbolism and relies mostly on cinematography, directorial decisions, and acting to give hints to the audience, but it is one of the most important scenes that shows Teddy is a patient long before it is fully revealed to us. When Teddy dreams about Andrew Latis, Latis sits by the fire. As we enter the scene, the first thing we see is the fire. Then the camera turns
And we learned that fire's fantasy reality or something.
to show Teddy's version of Latis sitting in the chair where the German psychiatrist was sitting. Latis lights a match in a close-up, which should signal to the audience that this is important. Latis stands and holds the match in his hand while the fire lights the right side of the screen. Then Latis lights Teddy's cigarette. Teddy accepts this version of Latis to be true, and this act is told visually. When Teddy talks to Rachel Solando, the only light is her campfire. Watch how the shots are framed. The
Yeah, this
fire
was a
remains in
weird
each
scene.
shot as we go back and forth between Rachel and Teddy. In some shots, the fire is so much in frame that it obstructs the person. This is on purpose because the framing of the shot is forcing us to always notice the fire in frame. When Teddy talks to George Noyce in Ward C, the only light is the match. The match leaves the frame as George tells Teddy the truth about himself.
This is a game. All of this is for you. I'm not investigating anything.
George knows who Teddy is and tells him the truth about what he is doing here at Ashcliffe, but Teddy doesn't. Leaves the frame as George tells Teddy the truth about.
That's cool. So it's like the fantasy was him in the dark walking towards George and with his own story, and then as the truth comes out, it's natural light. Teddy's no longer in fantasy. He's now listening to someone else, if that makes sense. That's cool. He's taking in new info.
About himself.
This is a game. All of this is for you. I'm not investigating anything.
George knows who Teddy is and tells him the truth about what he is doing here at Ashcliffe.
He still doesn't believe him though, if I'm right. Not straight away.
But Teddy doesn't believe him.
Yeah.
But then Teddy again strikes a match and again begins hallucinating.
Oh,
He sees his wife in Noyce's cell.
that's
Tell
true.
him, Teddy. Tell him why.
And that's because the match.
This film tells the audience the truth the entire time, and not just through symbolism, but also through cinematography, acting, and directing. Each scene is constructed in a way to show us what is happening, but we still do not understand the truth.
Yeah, that's
And I think
right.
this is what this film is all about. We have the ability to deny reality even if it is staring us in the face. We always want to hold to what we believe is true, even in the face of extreme evidence to the contrary. Thanks for watching.
Who's this guy? Those words. Listen to what he said.
Even if it is staring us in the face. We always want to hold to what we believe is true, even in the face of extreme evidence to the contrary. Thanks for watching.
Not always. Like, sometimes we do. Like, in his circumstance, but... yeah. Anyway. That was a cool video.